students, this is Afsana Awal. Today I will take your home science class, and students, today's topic is chapter 11 discussion. That means today we will discuss chapter 11. So let's start our class. There are some points here that will help us to discuss the whole chapter. Okay, that's why I have just taken some important points that we will discuss today. At first, the chapter's title, this is chapter 11, Preservation of Food. This is the chapter's name. So at first we have to know that what is preservation of food. Preservation is a proper way to stop food from decaying and store food with their original quality. Preservation is a proper way to stop food from decaying and store food with their original quality. So this is called preservation of food. And now lesson 1, necessity of preservation of food. That means this chapter is about different parts of preservation of food. That means what's the necessity of preservation of food, the process of preservation of food. Okay, so at first this is lesson 1, necessity of preservation of food. That means why should we preserve foods? The first one is the seasonal fruits can be preserved for another season. Okay, this is one kind of reason. That means the seasonal fruits then can be that can be used in future if we preserve these fruits properly. By preserving seasonal fruits and vegetables, we can prevent these foods from getting spoiled. We can get all types of food throughout the year by preserving seasonal food. By preserving the fruits, crops and vegetables, they can be supplied everywhere in the country. Students, we know that all the fruits, crops and vegetables are not grown in the same area. In some areas, some fruits are very good, some crops are very good, and there are some areas also there we cannot see the same fruits, crops or vegetables. So if we want to spread these foods throughout the country, to the whole country, then we must preserve these things. Preservation of food can help people in food crises and natural disasters. In our country, there are some natural disasters, and in other countries also there are some natural disasters, and there may arise some situation of food crisis. In that time, preservation of food, that means the preserved food can help a lot. Then food preservation has immense roles in mitigating famine in a country. We will be benefited financially by selling and marketing these foods. Now this is lesson 2, classification of food according to their decaying or perishable nature. That means some foods are actually classified into 3 parts according to their decaying or the perishable natures. So what are they? Number A is perishable food, or the food that perish easily. Number B, less perishable food. That means these these are actually less perishable than the perishable foods. And then the next one is the imperishable food. So at first we will discuss about the first one, that means perishable food are the food that perish easily. So from the title we can easily say that some foods can be easily perished. Some foods perish quickly within 24 hours and contain more water. We can preserve perishable food by boiling or refrigerating them. For example, fish, meat, milk, tomato, vegetables, etc. Okay, these are actually different types of foods that can be perished easily. So we can preserve them by boiling or refrigerating them. Now the less perishable food, that means these foods are actually less perishable than the perishable foods. Some foods remain original for some days. For example, pumpkin, aram, potatoes, etc. Fruits, egg, ginger, onion, garlic, etc. They contain less water than perishable food. We can preserve them in a cool place of a room and keeping them away from heat and light. So this is the process. These are the processes that we have to follow for preserving the less perishable foods. Now the last one is imperishable food. Rice, lentils, wheat, dried chili, etc. contain almost no water. We can preserve them by separating the chaff from them and drying them under the sun. Okay, so this is the process how we can preserve the imperishable foods. Now lesson 3, reasons for decaying of food. Okay, that means why the foods, why we have to preserve the foods and why the foods are actually decaying or the perished. So what are the reasons? There are some reasons, there are some things that actually helps anything to be spoiled, help any foods to be spoiled. So we have to know their names. At first, this is microorganisms. That means bacteria, yeast and fungus. Bacteria actually grows in meat, fish, vegetables and makes the food rotten. Then yeast and fungus also. So these microorganisms actually are the reasons, may the reason for decaying of food. Then number B is enzymes. Enzyme helps to ripe fruits and vegetables. Some enzyme makes fruits too ripen and soft and detaches from their stalk. The fruits which are too soft become black with the attack of germs. Number C, chemical reaction. Acid and tannin are two chemical substances of fruits and vegetables which react chemically when they get in touch with air and water. Chemical reaction will be less if we preserve fruits in a vacuum jar. And number 4 is unsuitable place to preserve food. So this is one of the reasons for decaying of food. That means if we cannot preserve some foods in a suitable place, then these foods can be spoiled. Like if we just place some fruits and vegetables, those actually are contain lots of water, they can quickly be perished. But if we place these means fruits and vegetables in an open place for a long time, then these fruits, vegetables can be spoiled. So we have to preserve the foods that we want to preserve in a suitable place that are suitable for that types of fruits and vegetables and foods, crops, etc. Now this is lesson 4, ways of food preservation of home, at home. It means how can we preserve the food at our home. There are some ways, there are some processes. The first one, food preservation by drying them in sunlight. It will be in. Students, it will be in. Here, that preservation is drying them in sunlight. In sunlight here, in sunlight. So there are some foods that we can preserve by drying them in sunlight, like fish, meat, potatoes, etc. Number 2, preservation of food with molasses or sugar. And there are some things that we can preserve with molasses or sugar, like plum, tamarind, then mangoes, etc. Then preservation of food with vinegar and oil, like pickles. We make different types of pickles with different types of fruits, and with ginger also. Sometimes we make pickles. Then with onion, so pickles. So this is one of the way how we can preserve some foods. Preservation of food with salt. Okay, like there are some foods that we can easily preserve by mixing with salt, like fish, green mango, chalta, amlaki, etc. Then preservation of food with ice. That means there are some foods that we have to refrigerate to preserve them properly, like fish, meat, milk, etc. So students, today we have discussed chapter 11, preservation of food, and there are 4 lessons, and your HW number 9 is make 5 MCQ from chapter 11. Okay, there are 4 lessons here, and from these 4 lessons you have to make 5 MCQ. Okay students, that's all for today. See you in the next class, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.